Today I wanted to cover a couple things. First would be digging into the installers as far as getting the install parameters and seeing the strings that are installers, as well as verifying that applications have fully installed. But before I cover those two things, I wanted to explain a really useful Windows feature. It's called Windows Sandbox. What this is, it's basically a lightweight virtual machine that you can run on your computer as long as you have Windows 10 or 11 Pro and above. Now, something I want to note is that for Windows 10, this gets wiped out once the virtual machine restarts. However, as of build 22509 or Windows 11, after that build on Windows 11 devices, the data will persist, meaning if your application requires a restart, the Windows 10 version unfortunately will not work, whereas the Windows 11 version, you will be able to do that and data will persist. So that's something to know. The screen recording you're seeing here is all within the Windows Sandbox. So if you're wanting to basically test installing applications over and over. Ideally, you'd want to do this within a virtual machine like Windows Sandbox because sometimes you install a lot of applications that you don't necessarily want and you don't want to do that on your own machine, or you might not have an additional machine available to do that on. So installing Windows Sandbox is fairly easy. This is given that you've already enabled virtualization on your processor and your BIOS. If you're not familiar with how to do that, you'll have to look up your motherboard specific instructions. But once you do that, all you're going to do is you can enable this feature by running this PowerShell command here. It's fairly simple. Or going to the turn Windows features on or off GUI dialog. So once you do that, you just restart and you'll have the option to open up a Windows Sandbox environment. It's fairly easy. In addition to that, I wanted to show two pieces of software as well. The first being Process Explorer. This is part of the sysinternals package. And the second is going to be Orca, which can be found in the Windows SDK. The first piece of software is called Process Explorer within sysinternals. So what this lets us do is actually see all of our processes. But what's really useful about this is that when you open up a process, you can actually see a couple things here. So you can see the command line, um, like the what you have to run a command line to launch this application. In addition to that, you can also see the strings that are within this application. Now, this might look like a lot of information here, and it is, but oftentimes, if you're working with a really old or hard to read piece of software, like you don't know what the install parameters are, sometimes you can actually find those within here. I also want to show you another piece of software here as well. It's called Orca. So Orca is actually a MSI editing software. MSI is basically our databases and set of configurations. And what this does is it actually reads them. But not only can you read them, but you can also modify them and you can save those packages. So for example, what we can do here is we can open up Firefox, and under the properties section, you'll notice there's a lot of things here, a lot of properties that are set here. Taskbar shortcuts, desktop shortcuts, etc. Now, you can set these via command line, but you can also build your own package as well. How you want to do this is completely up to you, but I just want to show you this functionality. So you get to see these properties exposed, and you can actually say false, and you can save this as Firefox underscore my custom install. So really what this does is you're just building your own MSI package. But it's also useful to see all the properties that are in here. And oftentimes the things that are in all caps are the properties they've added. A lot of times you might see properties that you can put in your arguments that you can change. Like for example, if there's reboot suppress in there, you might be able to say true or false or yes or no for that. So it's a different way of seeing it. Okay. Now, another thing I wanted to cover is verifying the installation of software. So up until this point, we've kind of just installed software, and our way of verifying if it's actually installed is, well, simply opening the software. However, in the future, what you'll want to do is you'll actually want to verify that that software is installed with the script. And if you're using a RMM, you'll be able to take that information and display it as actually being installed. Or if you're using a more sophisticated automation platform, you'll be able to pipe that into there and again show that it's verified. I'll cover some of those platforms a little bit later in the series, but I just wanted to explain that now. So the first script that we'll do is a rather simple one, and I know it's not the best way to do it, but I kind of wanted to show you um, the old way of doing things and the new way of doing things. So the old way of doing things would be getting WMI object for class WIN32 product. Now, one of the reasons why this is the dirty way of doing things is when you actually run this command, it's checking every single program and doing checks on them. So it's actually, in a way, doing consistency checks. I'm sorry. And this is a good blog here that I'm going to link in the video that kind of covers this a little bit more. So if you're interested on that, I will be including that. But what this actually does is it gets everything that's within the class WIN32 product and displays it. Now, I want to show you some scenarios where that might not work for you. So, we've installed a application called Orca. Now, Orca is that second application I was showing you. And this is a system-wide install, okay? So, let's do this here. We'll comment this out. So here, we're running it against Orca. And we'll see, okay, this is installed, right? And if we go to our add or remove programs, you will see Orca is installed. Now let's take something like Google Chrome, right? You're like, okay, I see Google Chrome in there. It should show up, right? However, when we run this, you'll see it's actually not installed. Now, the reason for this is that a lot of applications like Google Chrome, for example, or Zoom even, what they do is they're actually user-based installations. So this actually lets you install the application without admin permissions. You'll often find these in the app data folder. And what this is querying here is it's not the app data folder, but you can think of it as the program files folder. So actually it will not detect that this is installed. Now, there is a cleaner way of doing this. So now we will open this up. We'll command this. So you'll see the second here. What we're doing is we're creating an array, an empty array called install query, and we're getting the item properties of the WIL6432 node, which is x86, and the regular program files, if you will. This 32 and 64-bit, I'm sorry. It's putting those into an array, and then we're going to basically query that array. We're going to select the property name, display name, and where the display name property says our application Google Chrome, we're going to take that. And what this if else is doing is saying if this is true, if there is a piece of software that matches Google Chrome, it's going to display installed to. Now, of course, you can name that whatever you want. I just said installed to just because we're doing 1 and 2 here. And if it doesn't say anything, it's going to say not installed. So when we run this right here, you will see that our original one with WIN32 product says it's not installed, but this method is saying it's installed. Now I'd like to cover something a little bit bigger here. So in that same blog post, it's saying, please stop using WIN32 product to find installed software. Now within here, it also covers a rather big script, which I've included in this video here, which I'm about to cover. But what this also does, is it also sees things that are installed into app data and within other users' accounts. So here, I'll just briefly cover it. So this is a PowerShell function. And you'll notice here that the default parameter set is global in all users, which later I'll explain what that means. And all this is going to be a lot of information. You don't obviously have to understand fully how this works. I just want to explain kind of the gist of this. And you don't have to fully understand this. I just want to explain the gist and kind of the fundamentals behind what we're doing here. So the default is going to be this here. Now, within this command here, you can actually set a different property. So let's say you wanted to do all users, you could set that here, but the default parameter is global and all users. So what this is actually going to do is it's first going to see if it's going to set the what you checked here, but it's going to see if this requires admin, which of course typically we're running this as admin, so we won't get this pop up, but if it does, it'll break the script and it will say it requires admin. Now this part may look familiar. This is actually the array that I was showing you in the last script. What this is doing is just getting all those properties from those 32 and 64-bit paths and putting them into that array. The part that's different here is this part right here. Now, it's going to collect the data for the other users on the computer within their respective, if you will, data folders, if you will. I wanted to show you this here. So you'll see that this security identifier here. It starts with S1521. So this is actually a established security identifier format. So if you notice here, we'll do S1521. So these are going to be all of the, like for example, domain users, domain admin, guest, administrators on the computer. They're all going to start with that format. So that's why you see here, it's starting with that format. And what it's going to do is it's going to take all of those basically accounts with that security identifier. It's going to put them into the mounted profiles variable. And previously we attached this property here loaded. We're just going to load them. Then what it's going to do is going to look through for each of those accounts. It's going to look through those 32 and 64-bit paths for those users. So here in the registry here, I'll show you. You have HKey users, see here, where the security identifier, and then you'll take those 32 and 64-bit paths within this. So what this HKey users lets you do, it lets you see the HKey current user registry, but for different users. Because the HKey current users registry, this is actually for your logged in user, but this lets you see other users. So this is useful for seeing what applications other users might have installed. So this will just go through each different user. And this part right here is just covering the users not included with that security identifier. And in the end here, we're going to call it and say, with this function, get installed applications, select property display name, and where the display name equals software name, which we've said zoom here. If it's true, we'll write this is actually installed, and if it's not, we'll say this is actually not installed. And you'll see here, after all the stuff it writes, it says this is actually installed. So this covers all users globally within the computer and all the different users' app data and registries. So this is a very bulletproof way of seeing if a piece of software is installed. Now, your use case might be different as far as what you're looking for. You might want to only target machine-wide installers, or you might be targeting just to see if a specific user computer-wide has this piece of software installed. Now, I highly recommend that when you do deploy software, you're not deploying software that is installed within the app data local or user-specific installations, but rather machine-wide installs. And you'll see that MSIs are going to be machine-wide, or if you're using an executable, I'd verify that they are installed machine-wide, because it turns this into this when you do that. In addition to that, it's very easy to manage one piece of software that's installed machine-wide versus each user having different pieces of installed software and making sure that they have the software installed It just makes it very easier to manage. With that, that covers the verification aspect of this. In later videos, I will cover how to actually take this and put it into a automation platform so we can install the software, and we can also verify that the software is installed. Thank you.